Minnesota's sports hub. It's the Morning Sports Desk, presented by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and streaming on YouTube.
Powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. This is the Morning Sports Desk. I'm CJ Baumgartner, Corey Tackman over there. And if you're watching on YouTube, you notice our Staples-Motley play-by-play voice for football, Tyler Grunewald, joining us in the middle. Tyler, welcome back onto the show.
Thanks for having me again, guys.
All right,
3 weeks in a row. Must be doing something right?
That's right. Let's clamoring for more Tyler Grunewald on Fridays, getting them ready for the Staples-Motley Cardinal football game.
Before we look at tonight's game, and obviously a big week with homecoming at Staples-Motley this week, let's go back a road trip to Holly last Friday night. Kind of the first on what is like a month straight of football challenges. The schedule starts to ramp up. How'd the Cardinals handle that test on the road at Holly? What stood out in that ball game?
You know, what really stood out to me was the Holly actually coming to fight in that game. They really gave the Cardinals some troubles on offense. Colby Tappy, he had 2 touchdowns on the ground on 13 carries, but he was held under 50 yards on the ground. So that was kind of an anomaly, especially for him, as he had 13 carries coming into the game for almost 300 yards and more touchdowns. So it was kind of one of those head scratchers, or what were they doing different? They were just able to wrap up Colby, and so that was kind of something surprising. But as he was kind of getting wrapped up, other players stepped up, as the Cardinals still racked up over 200 yards rushing, and Bo Carlson as a wingback was a really big factor for the Cardinals, coming in on a screen pass, had a 62-yard screen pass for a touchdown, as he was patiently following his blockers down the field, and before finally making it in. He also scored on a counter play, jet sweep counter play. So he was able to score a couple touchdowns. And then Holly scored a touchdown right before halftime with about 33 seconds left, and kind of give the Cardinals their first real challenge of the season. Oh, okay, they're here to play. Well, next kickoff, Caden Neeson, the freshman, comes and takes the kickoff 72 yards to the house and extend their lead again, and kind of gives them that breathing space heading right into the locker room at halftime. So it's really cool to see a lot of these younger players step up for the Cardinals, and players we weren't expecting to make an impact early on in the season.
Yeah, and, like you said, there were some players coming into the season who were going to step up and had some big shoes to fill and had some roles that needed to be claimed. And, have you had a chance to talk with Coach Potter about that, whether it's kind of in the interviews, whether it's maybe just kind of in passing conversation? What has that been like with the team, kind of with those new players stepping up? Have you had those conversations, and what has he had to say if you did?
Yeah, a lot of it's been with new offensive and defensive lines that they've had to kind of not revamp, but reinvigorate, as some of those seniors left. Riley Reese being one of those big names that keeps coming up, and Adrian Caldwell, the junior for the Cardinals, who's made a huge impact on the defensive line. I don't have the stats in front of me, but Holly had a very hard time running against the Cardinals, as every team has so far this season. And that front four with Adrian Caldwell and sorry, I forgot the name. Name escapes me for a second, but their defensive front line just been really stellar all season long, and their linebacker core with Luke Bjerg, Tappy coming. When you see them coming, you kind of brace for impact, as the saying goes, as they're ready to lay down a smack.
All right, homecoming week. You mentioned Riley Reese. He was just crowned homecoming king the other night, and congratulations to him. But the Yellow Jackets are in town. In talking to Coach Potter, just from your knowledge, what do we know about the Yellow Jackets? What kind of game are we expecting tonight?
Well, expect a little bit of everything, as the Yellow Jackets will have a little bit of a 4 wide receiver set with 2 receivers on both sides. They'll send one of those receivers in motion kind of as a jet sweep option, or they like to run a lot of counter plays out of that. But then they also do a lot of heavyweight football running. They pack everybody in. They do a little bit of wishbone formation, where they try and run it up the gut and just kind of cram it down your throat. So Last week, I was a little surprised where Holly came into the game really as a rushing team, but they had a lot more success throwing the ball against the Cardinals. This week, it's kind of could be either way. We'll see if Perham is able to get any traction on the ground, if they're able to be the first team to actually give the Cardinals some trouble on the ground, or if they're going to be forced to go to that aerial attack and try to attack the Cardinals in the defensive backfield.
And, interestingly enough, there's a couple things that I find interesting with this game. First of all, Perham kind of in third or fourth year with head coach Jesse Hine. He's a Perham grad from 2012, played center at Bemidji State University. His brother Jordan was the quarterback there for a number of years, and now going back to his alma mater to try and coach here at Perham. Another interesting thing is there's a senior on the football team who I interviewed in kind of our season preview video series that you can find on YouTube or at WDenaRadio.com or by following Sports Cow on Facebook. His name is Tristan Larson. He's a senior on the football field. He loves playing defense, but he also talked about a game he had circled on the calendar was Staples-Motley. And obviously, because they went to the Prep Bowl a year ago is why he has that game circled. But also, he said wrestling is a lot of that, and he knows a lot of people on Staples-Motley through wrestling and wants an opportunity to compete against them in that way. So it's really fun to see that cross-sport kind of action promote, because these two teams in football haven't really played each other a ton over the last handful of years.
Yeah, they have not. And it's kind of been fun this season to see some of these new teams that they've been able to have for the regular season, bringing in Roseau, East Grand Forks, even going to Holly last week. Next week on the road to DGF and Barnesville. So it's really fun, I think, for the players as well to have some of those rivalries in different sports meet on the football field as well. I know the Jackson County Central game and the Prep Bowl fed a lot into state wrestling as well. So they all talk. It's all a part of it. And it doesn't matter what sport, the rivalry still kind of remains for sure.
Tyler, I don't think Jackson County Central's as good this year as they were last year. My alma mater held them to only 77 points last Friday.
Only? Oh, really?
I think 71 at half.
Were they playing basketball by chance?
Gosh dang it. 6:40 pregame tonight, 7 o'clock kickoff, AM1430, 98.5 FM The Fan. Tyler Grunewald and Zeke Foreman along for the call. Again, have a great call tonight. Enjoy the game. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, homecoming night, so lots of festivities before the game as well. So be listening.
One more thing, Tyler, before you get out of here. How about this Section 6 AA, man? It's how about a Pillager having a big win over Barnesville? Holdingford's good. Royalton's in the mix. Staples-Motley there. All of them ranked in the QRF in the top 10, top 12-ish. What the heck? It's going to be a battle.
It's kind of looking like the NFC North of last year, where all these great teams are all conglomerated in one tight little package. It's going to be really interesting come playoff time to see how things shake up. And I think home field advantage is going to really become a big factor going into playoffs, as you really want to stay at home as much as you can before the trip to Fargo.
Yeah, that second round Saturday is going to have just some of the best football in the state. So, all right, Tyler, have a great one. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
That's Tyler Grunewald, play-by-play guy for the Staples-Motley Cardinals, joining us on the morning sports desk, powered by Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. Corey, we're getting ready for a football game of our own tonight on the Superstation K-106, 105.9 FM, streaming online at WDenaRadio.com or the Superstation K-106 mobile app. We got Wadena Deer Creek football as they host the Breckenridge Cowboys, and this is a matchup that happened a year ago, Corey, a year ago happened later in the season, where it was the second to last game of the year, the last Friday night football game of the 2024 season, and Wadena Deer Creek played Breckenridge. Things didn't go the way they want. They were a little beaten up by that point in the year with injuries, and that game just ended up having a few more happen, and it was the final game Wadena Deer Creek played of the 2024 season, where they were like, we're too banged up. We got to just, for the sake of everybody involved, just pack her up for the year. And that was the right decision. And now they have a chance to play Breckenridge again. Breckenridge having another good start to the season. They are 3-0 overall on the campaign. They have wins over Benson, 55-34, wins over Parker's Prairie, 21-12, and Frazee, 42-18. For Wadena Deer Creek, they got an 8-0 victory over Long Prairie Gray Eagle. They lost to Lake Park Audubon 55-8, and last week to Otter Tail Central 34-14. And Breckenridge obviously has been a program notorious for having good football teams, and they're looking to make some noise in Section 6A once again. For Wadena Deer Creek, I think their defense has really been coming along this year. Talking with Coach Petermeyer, really likes the way that they're working in the trenches of the defensive line, trying to get that leverage, trying to push the pile back, do all the things you want a defense to do. And they've really liked where they're at in that department. Their special teams have had some great returns over the first few weeks of the season. They really like to, for whatever reason, maybe it's just the way the field is, maybe it's just the way things have worked out, but they really like to run and return in front of their own sideline, and it's worked for them this year, including a 85-yard touchdown run, a kick return touchdown, I should say, by Preston Peterson, who's a nice freshman, sophomore that Coach Petermeyer's really liked kind of as some of their young players to build for the future. And it's just been the offensive side of the football, trying to build that synergy. And it's hard when you have second year of a new offense, first year starting quarterback who was a guard last year, so trying to figure that out. Ettore Pinella, who looked like was going to be hurt for most of the season, was able to come back last week and play in a little bit of limited action, which is a good sign. But even still, when he was hurt in week 1 and then he wasn't able to play in week 2, now came back in week 3, with a triple option offense, that handoff is so important, and knowing kind of when you can slip it out, when you can just leave it in the hands of the running back and things like that. Still trying to work some kinks out of the offense, Corey. Not going to be an easy task tonight against Breckenridge, but it should be interesting to see Wadena Deer Creek taking on that next step and that next progression and what they want to be this year. And like we talked about with Tyler, just a very, very competitive Section 6 AA. So a lot of things happening. We will have coverage of Wadena Deer Creek and Breckenridge tonight, 6:40 pregame, 7 o'clock kickoff from Wadena on the Superstation K-106. That's 105.9 FM, streaming online at WadenaRadio.com or the Superstation K-106 mobile app. You can find more information when you follow Sports Cow on Facebook, too. Moo. Should be noted, too, by the way, Wadena Deer Creek was featured in the Star Tribune this week with an article by Chip Scoggins, one of the lead reporters there in the Strip Sports Department.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hinted at it, right? Last year, Breckenridge was their last game of the year before forfeiting that Week 8 game, and then that MEA Week game, and then their first playoff game. So there was reporting done around the state on Wadena Deer Creek football at that time, and this is a nice follow-up of where the program is at, the strides they've made, where they're going to be able to play, just updating really the rest of the state on what the Wadena Deer Creek community already knows. But, I mean, you were there, you were at the game. It sounded like Chip was at the game the other night. He'd made a previous trip, obviously, to do some of this reporting, and mostly, you know, just from an outside perspective and a fan of high school football, like, just neat to see that. Yes, indeed, boy, they really have made some strides, right? Like you talked about how, like, defensively, this football team is, like, they're competitive defensively, they compete defensively. Special teams, they compete. They're having a hard time finding their way on offense right now, but they are still very, very young. And I mean, a lot of these guys are holdovers from a year ago, where they're even younger still. And it was just an overmatched. It just probably wasn't fair. But by golly, those kids stuck it out, and they're kind of, as Ron Garden would say, battling their tails off. And the perseverance is a really important trait in the sport of football. And so it's cool to see that update and have Chip come in and kind of bring that to light on behalf of Wolverines football.
Yeah, I was talking with Coach Petermeyer a little bit about it. I was like, hey, what the heck? How did this come to be? How did whatever? And said, you know, the Star Tribune reached out in the summertime, just kind of getting some initial information. And then, like you said, Corey, in the first couple weeks of camp, was there just to do some initial reporting and interviews and kind of get a gauge on things, and then showed up for the home opener last week against Otter Tail Central. It's right there on the sidelines. I don't think Kyle will mind me sharing this, but Chip was talking with him and said, hey, do you mind if for this football game I hang out on the sidelines and kind of do my reporting that way to get the best kind of eyes and ears and things like that? And Kyle told me that he told Chip, was basically like, hey, man, you talk to Kevin O'Connell every week. You can stand wherever you want. Which is like, hey man, you do this in the NFL. Like you can stand on the sidelines. You know what you're doing. You're not going to get in the way.
I saw that reminds me of there's a story about Joe Montana and his son playing high school football, and it was like a very famous, very like high profile high school football program in the state, and lots of former NFL players had kids run through that program, and the high school coach had one rule: no parents on the sidelines ever. But it was Joe Montana who would make his way down to the sideline to quarterback coach his son, who was the quarterback. And that the high school coach said, I have a rule: no parents on the sideline unless you're a 4-time Super Bowl MVP.
And then in which case all bets are off. That'd be like if you're like, hey, I don't want anybody in the dugout. Please, like, no, right. Nobody who's unaffiliated with the team in the dugout. And then Joe Mauer's like, hey, man, you mind if I sit in the dugout and just kind of observe?
I've got some tips.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. No parents or fans in the dugout, Mr. Mauer.
Unless you're the first catcher to ever win multiple batting titles.
That's right.
Then you're in.
National Player of the Year in 2 sports.
Mm-hmm. Could have played professional in multiple sports. Yeah. You can come in.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's
fine. Have a thing or two.
Yeah, but keep it down, would you please?
Yeah. Please don't be making a ruckus back there. Don't be rah. Don't be cheering too loud as he just sits there and.
Nice.
Keep it down, Mauer.
Nice.
Anyway, so yeah, no, it's cool. Anytime the Star Tribune makes a trip to Greater Minnesota to do a story, it's always really cool to get that coverage. I know the Star Tribune kind of overhauled their entire sports coverage unit, like to try and revamp it and kick it up and things like that. I know they got Randy Shaver, formerly of Care 11, to like join their team and do stuff for them. And obviously Chip has like been there forever. So it's really cool to get featured. And again, to put a highlight on the kids in the program and all the work that they're putting in. So, and talking with Kyle again about the experience working with Chip, he said, Scoggins really was excited about the future of the Wadena Deer Creek football, kind of where things are at. And at least it feels like the needle's pointed in the right direction, which is really cool. And that's a guy who's seen a lot of football teams across the state, and he has no reason just to say it. So,
well, he's right. I mean, you've seen him every year for the last number of, like, it's very evident that was a huge bummer. It was, I think everybody involved with that a year ago was disappointed that was the decision that they had to make, but it was the smart decision and the right decision. And no one I've talked to has disagreed with it. They did the right thing for their program and those kids. I believe that with my whole heart. And now they're showing some resiliency. Yeah, sure. Maybe not record wise right now and wins and losses, but that doesn't mean things aren't there, that growth isn't happening. So it's cool when it's noticed above and beyond what's happening in your little bubble,
Exactly. Corey, we are going to talk a little bit about the Minnesota Vikings, because we talk about resiliency. They're going to have to figure that out this week in some of the worst ways. And we'll wrap up the show doing a little bit of that. But first, we need to shout out the good folks at the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena, because Corey, their wings, just awesome.
Yeah, last night for wings. Tonight, you might want to stop in before you head to your favorite football team's game for the evening. Let them make you a little supper and then head to kickoff. Or, open all weekend long. It can be a part of your college football watching experience. They can deliver to you maybe on Sunday as well. Look at those hot honey hot wings. I've had them. They're unbelievable. You need to try them. They were on the wing night buffet last night and will continue to be so, but you don't need to wait for wing night. You could just order them if you darn well please. And let me tell you from personal experience, you should order them and give them to me.
Yeah, sure. Or just eat them yourself.
Or yeah, I mean, I guess you do what you got to do. So check it out. Check out the new wings. Rumor has it another new wing or another new sauce coming very, very soon. But of course, CJ, before we wrap things up, I need to remind you, you could win a Nintendo Switch 2 and a 50-inch TV in the ultimate prize giveaway from the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena. Here's how you enter. If you have a FunZone Rewards account already, you're automatically entered. If you're not a FunZone Rewards member yet, just scan the QR code. You can see it right now when you watch the Morning Sports Desk on YouTube. You can scan it when you visit the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade, or when you check out their Facebook page. Scan the QRF code and join by the end of the month, September 30th, for your automatic entry. And you could win a Nintendo Switch 2 and a 50-inch TV in the ultimate prize giveaway from the Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade in Wadena.
I do want to point out it is QR code, not QRF code.
Oh, yeah. Did I say QRF? That's funny.
Yeah. We were just talking about high school sports. It is. I mean, maybe you pull that up and it's like, wow, would you look at that? Would you look at where Wadena Deer Creek volleyball is ranked in the section? That's cool.
Look at them. Those honey hot wings ranked number 1 in the state.
Yeah. Whoa. This mystery flavor is already at number 4. What the heck could that mean?
What's the QRF on the honey hot wings from Pizza Ranch?
A lot of mystery involved.
Regardless of class. Honey hot wings come in at number 1.
Undisputed number 1.
Say QRF. That's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, you did. So I was going to let you finish the ad read. I didn't want to cut you off. You were going so strong. But
how many times have we had this conversation where one of us will walk into the other person's studio and go, it's not a big deal. I just wanted to make you self-conscious. And then you lay out whatever that person did.
I'm not trying to make you feel self-conscious, but here's about 5 things that you're going to feel self-conscious about now for the rest of the day.
Dang it. All right. Well, QRF code, QR code. It's all the same to me.
I don't mean to make you feel self-conscious, Corey, but when you recorded that ad earlier today and you mispronounced a word and you had to restart, I heard it.
Dang it. All right.
Everybody heard it. You're the only one that does it.
Well, what's the QRF code on the Minnesota Vikings?
Well,
DJ,
not very good. Let me put it to you this way. We have to be Carson Wentz enjoyers this week. I was talking with my friend from college who's a Chargers fan, and we were talking about like we every week we kind of just end up talking a little football. And like the Chargers were 2-0, so he was feeling pretty good about that. And I was like, I have to be a Carson Wentz enjoyer. Nobody has it worse than me. And he immediately said, well, you don't have to be an enjoyer because you're probably not going to enjoy it.
Yeah, no, yeah, I would argue there's no. Now, so Carson Wentz is a really difficult conversation, especially in this part of the world, because there's a bunch of weirdos who really love NDSU.
Mm-hmm. If you want to see if Carson Wentz hits Adam Thielen, all of the TV stations in Fargo, if Carson Wentz hits Adam Thielen for a touchdown, every single sports director in Fargo needs to have that lead their block.
From DL to Fargo, you will hear a collective and
then they'll explode from happiness.
If you are an irrational NDSU fan, this conversation is not for you. So, yeah, man, I'm not going to probably enjoy it. And it actually has very little to do with Carson Wentz, even though he can be fairly erratic from time to time. Like he's definitely a part of this equation. It's just not, things are not coming up aces right now for the Minnesota Vikings on the injury front. I looked yesterday. I haven't looked today. There were 12 guys listed on the injured list yesterday. Are we at that same number? Where are they just screwed? It doesn't matter.
They haven't released Friday's injury report yet, but I do think that things are looking in pretty tough shape if you're looking at your center and Ryan Kelly, and maybe he didn't practice yesterday. He's dealing with a concussion.
Yeah,
it's like his 4th of his career. So there's just extra hoops you have to jump through with each concussion you get in the NFL, rightfully so.
Yeah.
So that means, and Christian Darrisaw practiced on Wednesday and on Thursday didn't practice, but the Vikings kind of said, look, whether he's playing or not, we're going to give him off days throughout the season just because he's coming back from an ACL injury. So weird.
Pounds and his knees hurt. Yeah, he probably deserves a rest.
We're just going to give it, like, even whenever he does come back officially, there will still be like one day a week where he just doesn't practice because it's like, you know what? You just rest. And the Vikings have been very cautious with how they deal with injuries. By the way, Aaron Jones with a hamstring injury is on the IR. He's going to miss time. So welcome back Cam Akers for his 3rd stint in Minnesota. I don't know why the Vikings don't love him enough to bring him back.
What number is he going to wear this time?
31, like he did in 2023.
Okay, because I think he's been 31
and by Jordan Mason.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Good.
Yeah, and it might be not a good thing, but I think the positive you could take away from it is it might force the Vikings to use Jordan Mason more than they have been before, which has been kind of waiting until you get behind and then getting a few positive plays together and be like, oh yeah, we have this guy. Somebody should play him more.
Well, and you can use Akers the same, like in kind of the same way you'd use like more of a pass catching sort of guy,
right.
A guy who's going to pass block well for you, those sorts of things. But yeah, it's gonna lean a little heavier, I would imagine, on Mason.
See, we say that, and yet there's a Monday Night Football game where Kevin O'Connell threw Josh Dobbs like 40 passes in a game.
Well, I'm not saying
you're right. I'm just saying we say that, but the Vikings head coach sometimes can just press the pass button.
But I didn't mean it. I didn't mean like actual carries, just like actual physical work, like number of plays on the field.
Yes, that will certainly be higher.
Yep.
It's interesting because I know I've spent the first time ragging on Carson Wentz, and believe me, when I go home and I talk about Carson Wentz, I have to walk a little bit on eggshells with my wife, who is a proud NDSU alum, and I can never take that away from her. She will say something.
By the way, she should be. Turns out they were awesome.
She and they'll tell you still are. She would say something disparaging about Carson Wentz. By the way, she owns a Carson Wentz Philadelphia Eagles jersey.
I just can't imagine. I can't imagine pulling myself to that.
This is a fun story, and I'm gonna and my wife doesn't listen to this far into the podcast, so this is a good thing. When me and my wife were dating, we both were in our final semesters of college. I went to go visit her one weekend in Fargo, and the Vikings were playing the Eagles. It was in 2019, so Carson Wentz, his first ever time playing in Minneapolis. And obviously grew up a Vikings fan, all that stuff. A lot of people from Fargo made the drive over to go watch him play. And that was a game where the linebacker for the Eagles, Zach Brown, said Kirk Cousins is a bum. And then Kirk Cousins and Stephon Diggs proceed. Like Diggs had like 200 yards passing. The Vikings scored like 30 plus points. And then after the game, like they all cornered that guy. And he's like, all right, fine. He played good. And then the Eagles like cut him 2 days later. Like that, just a great, anyway, during that game, as it started, I was like, the Vikings were like 2-2. They weren't playing very well. I was like just kind of going in. My wife had the Carson Wentz Eagles jersey on, and Wentz did not have a very good game. The Eagles did not play a very good game. They lost to the Vikings. And as the game was going on and Diggs kept scoring touchdowns, I was getting more excited because the Vikings are my favorite football team. And at one point, my wife looked at me and said, you don't have to be here.
And then you're like, I don't think you understand. I do.
It's like, I'm gonna go.
I have to be. I want to be. This is a double whammy for you. I'm sorry.
So and then she was just in a bad mood the rest of the afternoon because jersey came off at halftime.
I've enjoyed very few games more than I enjoyed this game. This is incredible. No, you're right, though.
But to circle it all back to my point, Carson Wentz, I think, and the Vikings players were talking about this in practice this week that I've listened to a few of their pressers and things they've said to the media. It's interesting. You hear TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson. They talk about, and again, they're not throwing McCarthy under the bus when they say this, but they're talking about the nice part about Carson Wentz is he's a veteran quarterback that knows kind of how to identify protections and kind of understands what defenses are trying to do, which not that McCarthy will never figure it out, but was just trying to figure it out and was struggling a little bit and needs more time. Whereas now in a kind of a game that they need to win, you have a guy in Carson Wentz that at the very least will know 1, 2, 3, where am I going with the football? Throw it there.
Yeah, he will commit to the throw.
Yes.
that is true. No, I don't. I mean, I'm trying to be realistic about it because I know Cincinnati is down too. Obviously, Joe Burrow is out, and Jake Browning beat the Vikings already once in his career.
Yeah, Browning's revenge game. He said the Vikings should have never bleep and cut me.
Yeah, that's right. But like, it's not an ideal situation, and it is in Minnesota. So like, things are certainly working up. But you're right. If there's like, all right, imagine this. Imagine a Carson Wentz like out route or a slant route to CJ Ham with a lateral to Adam Thielen around that. You know what I mean? Like, just what's the most Minnesota
Minnesota Vikings territory adjacent?
Can we get them all involved on one play just once, please?
If Blake Cashman was healthy, he would be in there blocking upfield, even though he's a linebacker.
like a flea, like Wentz hands it off to a fullback dive. It's a flea flicker with the fullback. Thielen streaking down the sideline.
Max Brosmer's lined up at wide receiver. He comes in motion behind the play, gets another lateral, and throws it. And I think we can make that work.
Them all somehow. I think that would be really fun. I don't have terribly high hopes for this game. I think they can win it.
I think the Vikings will win this game.
They're pretty decimated, man. They're pretty beat up.
They are. And the good news is so are the Bengals. They have their starting quarterback out. Their offensive line has been abysmal, so that helps out the Vikings pass rush. And the defense of the Bengals just hasn't been very good. The one good player they have, however, is defensive edge rusher Trey Hendrickson, who, if Christian Darrisaw is not playing, and this is the key to this, you can overcome a game in the NFL with one of your starting offensive linemen being out. That's pretty fair. The Vikings did that numerous times. They won a lot of games last year without Darrisaw, but the other 4 were healthy. When you're on 2 of your 5 offensive linemen that are injured, and you're potentially starting a third stringer in Walter Rouse at left tackle, you guarantee Trey Hendrickson is going to be lined up opposite him the entire game.
Yeah, and it's not you're right. You can get by with one of your guys being out, but 2 of your guys are out, and then one of those guys' backups is also out. So it's like it's tough. They're in a tough spot.
They're in a tough spot. I still do think they win the game because I think it's at home. I think it'll be a little bit. I think the Vikings offense will get a little bit of a pick-me-up. And as we've learned, Jake Browning threw 3 interceptions against the Jaguars defense, which isn't that vaunted. So, like, if you can get a few takeaways, which this Vikings defense can, and maximize those, I think it'll be okay. It'll be interesting to see how this works out. I do think it'll be shaky, but I do think the Vikings will win.
Might be
it's either going to be 34-31, like a shootout, or it's going to be 14-13. It's going to be just the ugliest game you've ever seen.
It's going to need to be a Reichard game.
Thankfully, he's looked good this year.
I know. How about that one idiot? Boy, he was excited to make field goals against the Vikings, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. John Parker Romo?
Yeah, boy, I've never seen. Is there a dorkier thing on planet Earth? And this, by the way, this is coming from a guy who regularly enjoys singing in barbershop quartets. Is there a dorkier thing in the world than a petty celebratory kicker?
All the time. Who is this little guy? What are you doing out here?
That dude was fired up.
You didn't, what was it, after the game? They gave out the footballs, NBC did, and he had no clue who his teammates were, and his teammates had no clue who he was. Like, Melissa Stark was introducing them to each other on the field after the game, which proves that, Matt Prater with the Bills, nobody knew who he was the week he got there, which proves the kickers are on the team, but they are not always a part of the team in that way. They just kind of sit off to the side. During practice, they're kicking on a different field. When special teams portion is over, they're not doing anything. Most of the starters don't play special teams anyways. So
I saw an interview with Arian Foster. They're like, do you ever go talk to the guy if he's struggling? And he goes, no. Or like, if it's getting close to a big moment, you go like dap him up. He's like, no, you don't say. It's every kicker is in the 7th inning of a no-hitter.
You just let them go.
You just leave them alone.
It's a starting pitcher in baseball pregame. You don't talk to the starting pitcher pregame. You just let him do his routine, and even if he talks to you, you don't talk back. You just kind of nod your head and move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that's what kickers are in this instance. They are fluky creatures, and as Ray Guy said, punters are people too. So there's a lot of things at play here. But yeah, I do think the Vikings win. So let's wrap this up. Today's show by doing a little over-under stuff again with the Minnesota Vikings in this game. I got 3 of them for you.
Okay.
All right. Actually, I let me say it's not over-under so much as more or less. Let me put it to you this way. More or less, the number of does Carson Wentz throw basically more interceptions or touchdown passes? Which one's like... What is he doing more of in this game?
That's a great question. So you feel like he's probably going to throw 1, right?
Yeah, I think it's fair to say 1 is.
So is he going to throw 2 touchdown passes? That's the question. but really it might have to be 3. The more interceptions he throws, the more the less of a chance it is of it being over. I'll say it is a oh gosh, man. I hate this so much.
Uh-huh.
Every NDSU Carson Wentz fan right now is like, boy, what did he ever do to you?
Existed.
He didn't do anything to me. I just don't think he's that good.
You're not allowed to say that. Only they're allowed to say that.
No, I am allowed to say it, and I'm also correct. I think he throws 1 touchdown pass and throws 2 interceptions.
All right, so you're going more. I will say more interceptions.
Can I say 2 and 2? Can I say push?
Yeah, you technically could. Yeah, because 2 and 2 might actually be that might be like right on the nuts. That might be it.
Feels right, doesn't it?
It kind of does. See, I think there'll be more touchdown passes, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to throw interceptions, because he could throw 3 touchdown passes and 2 interceptions, and you'd be like, yeah, I could see that, because as we learned, the Vikings had the football at the 2-yard line last week, and they called pass plays.
Yeah.
So that could very well be something.
The offensive line was decimated. We can't be nitpicky about play calling here when you don't have an offensive line.
No, that's fair, but also like Jordan Mason's been good. Maybe just one try. Like,
but he wasn't good. He was good in week 1 in the 4th quarter.
They didn't give it to him enough in week 2. That's the issue.
They were decimated. You're right. This is one of the, like we talked about the other day. Is it a problem? Yes. The problem is offensive line injury.
Yeah. No. I'm not saying Kevin O'Connell's play calling is the problem. Kevin O'Connell's a good play caller. There's just nitpicks within that of like every once in a while you got to maybe do something different. So anyway, all right. That's the first one. All right. More or less? Basically the exact same question, but with Jake Browning, the Bengals quarterback. Does he throw more interceptions or more touchdown passes? He threw 3 interceptions against the Jaguars last week and still won the game somehow.
I mean, the Vikings defense has also not really been that good yet. They've not been that good. So I'll say more touchdowns.
Yeah, I will.
It's like a 2-1. I think it's probably like a 2-1 for him and a 1-2 for Wentz.
Yeah, I'm going to say he throws more touchdown passes, but it'll be like he'll throw 2 touchdown passes, 1 pick. Something like that.
Yeah. Hopefully pick 6.
Yeah, hopefully, because that might be the only way we can score. I'm fine.
6 and 4 field goals would be enough to win this game.
All right, more or less. You're kind of hinting at my last thing. The line is 3.5. Field goals kicked by Will Reichert that are good.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes. If you think the Vikings are going to win, he's going to need to make 4 field goals in this game, I think.
So you're going over on that. You're going more.
Yeah, if I'm picking the Vikings to win, I don't know if I'm picking the Vikings to win, by the way, but if I am, I'm going over.
Okay, he goes over on that final one.
I think 4 field goals is the number.
I think there's a very good case to be made that, yeah, the Vikings could end up like getting into enemy territory, whether it's turnovers, whether it's whatever, and then just having to settle for field goals because they're still a little bit clunky on offense and the offensive line can't quite get them in and all that kind of stuff. And they're playing backup quarterbacks. They're just kind of going to take points.
A little bit clunky is hilarious.
A little bit clunky.
By
that, I mean, it's a clunker. Like one of those ones that they should have scrapped in 2009.
They just clunk. That's what they do. Right now, anyway.
It's that one that old guy drives into town to go have his morning breakfast at the diner. Everybody knows he's coming in because they can hear that thing putting in the parking lot.
What does Carson Wentz have to do for you to be like, You know, the meme, the girl,
that gif of what's his name for the Bulls, like deep on the bench, and he's like,
yeah, what does Carson Wentz have to do for you to feel like, oh, interesting?
A few touchdown passes, no picks, and I think remember what Darnold did, not in week 1, because he was just kind of a game manager in week 1 against the Giants last year. Remember in week 2 when he lit up the 49ers, and obviously I'm not saying he has to do exactly this, but remember he threw that deep bomb to Jefferson when they were like backed up on their own goal line and Jefferson took it 97 yards into the end zone. A play like that where you go, oh, like, and I think Carson Wentz is capable of that, by the way. I think he is capable of like rolling out, seeing Jefferson deep over the field and throwing a ball that Jefferson can just go get.
Yep.
And I think I think it's very possible you do see a play where, like, whether it's a touchdown or whether it's just a deep crosser over the middle that Jefferson gets a ton of yards on. I think if he can do that and kind of look like he can do it multiple times like Darnold did last year. Now, again, Darnold's a better thrower of the football than Carson Wentz is. Carson Wentz, maybe even still to this day, but probably not, a little better athlete, at least has a little bit more of those athletic traits than Darnold does. Darnold is pretty much a pocket passer. But I think that to be impressed, I would need to see like a couple big connections to Jefferson. Doesn't need to be yardage, but like big, like, you know, the Paul Allen cold-blooded connection. 3 touchdowns, no picks. Like, it'd have to be a pure, like, that guy could do no wrong game for me. But if you're just talking small sample sizes, a couple hits to Jefferson where you go, all right, well, that'll work.
Yeah, I think that's fair. The stat line needs to, like, it can't be 185 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. Like, it can't be, it needs to be 250 yards passing and 3 touchdowns and no interception.
Like he's walking into the locker room at halftime and he's got a $120 with a touchdown, and you're like, oh.
And things need to not be late. They need to not feel quick, you know, and it's going to at times. That's just the name of the sport. But it has felt quick for JJ, and it just needs to not feel quick.
Let me put it to you this way. The Vikings, without Carson Wentz, would have had Sam Howell starting this game, and I think they would have lost. Like, they'd just be dead if that guy had to come in and play football games for them.
Yeah, that'd be, I mean, shut up Max Brosmer, I guess.
Yeah, it'll be, by the way, couldn't you also see that happening too? Remember when the Vikings were going to start Jaron Hall in that game in Atlanta? And it was like, all right, here we go. Let's see what Jaron Hall can do. And they got down to the goal line. And he was like, hey, in college, I could run this ball through the goal line and put my helmet down and muscle my way in. And then in the NFL, he got clocked and got a concussion.
It ended his professional career, basically.
Essentially, yeah. He got knocked out of the game, and then the Pasternak came in and did all that stuff. There's a very real chance that Carson Wentz goes in there, hurts his shoulder, and we're playing Max Brosmer. Max Brosmer's a rookie who, again, has a little bit more understanding of the playbook, but still is a rookie and doesn't know what NFL defenses are throwing at him, whereas Carson Wentz has been in the NFL. But also Wentz, I don't even think has been on the Vikings for a month yet. Like, a full 4-week, 5-week period. He showed up like in the last week of August. Now he has a couple of years ago, he's the backup in LA. So he has some experience in the McVay, Kevin O'Connell offense, but Kevin O'Connell has shown he just likes to give quarterbacks the full load and be like, figure it out. So like, is he ready to digest the full offense will be the interesting question, because the first few weeks with Dobbs, O'Connell was like, I'm basically going to tell you what to do because you don't know what you're doing yet. And the more that he started to know the offense, the more O'Connell's like, all right, now do this and do this and do this. And for a backup quarterback in Dobbs, it just proved to be too much. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles that with, again, Kevin O'Connell's done very well with veteran quarterbacks. If you look at Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold, even Nick Mullins, like he's shown that he can coach veteran quarterbacks to be successful. So I think the Vikings have a fighting chance in this game. How it ends up looking will kind of be subject to how that.
Right.
So anyway, all of this to say, I'm a homer. I think they're going to win, but boy, am I not as excited to watch this game as I was maybe a week ago at this time.
Correct.
Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, Tracy Wolfson, and the full CBS crew are showing up for Carson Wentz versus Jake Browning.
Skull
to the bull. All right, we got our activities director interview coming up on Monday, so be sure to tune into that show. We got our guests lined up and ready to roll. We're not going to tell you who it is until the show. That's what we call a tease and building a little bit of.
And also, I don't know who it is, so it's fun.
Exactly. We just have Corey walk into a room and he sees an AD. And,
hey, it's you.
Hey, it's you. And that's essentially how all these shows work. So, all right, we're out of here. See you on Monday.
Powered by Wadena's Pizza Ranch and FunZone Arcade. Follow the Morning Sports Desk on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And watch every show on YouTube.